Come out. Here we go. Titans on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey!
Welcome to Titans Football with Brian Callahan, presented by SeatGeek. From the BetMGM studio, I'm Mike Keith with head coach Brian Callahan. Christmas is upon us, and with Christmas Day on Wednesday and the players and coaches off, you understandably know that the coach has to change the practice week. Now, Titans players normally get Tuesday off, but this week they're in the building. So what does an unusual day like this Tuesday look like during Christmas week?
We're fortunate that Christmas Day falls Wednesday, so we can just flip the players' off day with Wednesday's work day. So essentially, it just mirrors Wednesday almost identically, and we just flip the days. It's nice when it works out that way. It doesn't always work out that way. So it'll be walked through because we're only 2 days removed from the game, so guys are still pretty beat up, and so we won't full speed practice, but we'll walk through Tuesday, which is our Wednesday, and then we'll have the off day on Wednesday. I know it's confusing.
I got it.
Well
done.
And then Thursday we pick up normal Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and play Sunday.
All right, let's get a little Callahan on as we get a couple of topics. Run defense at Indianapolis was a major issue, and it came as a surprise because the Titans have played good run defense all year long. You have to get back to that. So, Brian, when you have played good run defense, what has that looked like this season that you need to get back to?
I think the best way to put it is it takes all 11 guys on defense to stop the run, and you got to be gap sound and you got to be gapped out appropriately. And then when you get a chance to make a tackle, you got to get a guy down on the ground. And we didn't do a good enough job of either of those things against the Colts the second time around. But we've played that way over the course of the season, and it was disappointing to have that result. But do a better job being where we're supposed to be on defense, fitting the gaps right, and then when we get a chance to get the guy on the ground, get him on the ground. So that's really what it comes down to.
Good example of that on the screen right now is the Titans playing really good run defense on Joe Mixon. Hey, a guy who had a really nice second game in a row, Chig Okonkwo, he's got 17 catches over the last 2 games. Where has Chig made the most improvement that's allowed him to become such a reliable target, in particular over the last couple games?
It starts first and foremost with being exactly where you're supposed to be. So he's got a comfort level for the quarterbacks. They know where he's going to be at. He's got a great feel for what we ask of him on his route tree. And the ball tends to find him. The other part of it is his ability with the ball in his hand to run after the catch has been really, really good. He's been physical. He's hard to tackle. And then he's shown the ability to go win in one-on-one coverage as well. So really been a nice emergence of Chig in the passing game, and I guess he's showing what he's capable of as a pass catcher.
We'll stay with the passing game when Titans football with Brian Callahan returns. We're turning on the Titans tape to see how another big play to Calvin Ridley unfolded. That is next. No one saw the deep shot to Calvin Ridley coming in the first quarter of Sunday's game at Lucas Oil Stadium. At least Indy didn't see the deep shot coming. It was the 6th play of the Titans' second drive, and it came after 3 short passes and 2 Tony Pollard runs. Brian Callahan, please set up the shot that went for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think this is a third down as well, so third and manageable. What we had intended to do was get the formation set into the boundary to give all this field space. We were very specifically attacking their right corner here, Womack. We felt like this was a matchup that we could win. We went after him a few times in the game, but this was very specifically set up to try to take a shot at him, knowing that with him to the field, we were going to have a chance to get rid with a bunch of space. They're a single high pressure team in this spot, which is exactly what they did. And Rid ran a great route, gave him a little bit of stem inside, as you see here, just to set him up, to make it feel like it was going to be some sort of an in-breaker. And then he just took it vertical, and at that point he had no chance to cover him. Once Calvin gets going full speed, he's really difficult to cover. But you see the subtleness of the route as he starts outside the numbers. He stems almost right to the middle and then ends up breaking outside, because what most defensive backs feel is any sort of stem in usually ends up being an in-break or some version of an out-break. Very rarely do you go vertical. And so you can see him sort of stop his feet and get parallel here as he stems inside, and then he just ran right past him. So a really good setup by Ridley. Excellent throw by Mason, excellent timing. You can see in the pocket here, he takes his normal drop. It's one hitch, and the ball's up in the air, and you can see just in time as the pocket closes in, and that's NFL quarterback play. But to have it up on time, great ball, great air, let Calvin run underneath it. And you can see, I mean, it hits him right in his hands, right in stride. It's a beautiful throw. And we'll see from the end zone, just so you can see the protection. This is always a two-pronged approach. You get a bit of an exotic front here with Latu walking around in the middle, and you got both linebackers. You got to get the protection directed, in which we do a great job of getting everybody accounted for. You can see it gets a little bit loose. It's a tough game to pick up. You can see the stunt all the way around, but it's enough, and it's enough to get. That's why playing on time at quarterback is so important. You see Mason takes his normal three-step drop with one quick hitch, which is just this little boom right there, and the ball's up in the air, and that's how touchdowns get scored. It was a really well-executed play all the way around between Calvin, Mason, and our offensive line.
Touchdown Titans. When Titans football with Brian Callahan, presented by SeatGeek, continues, we introduce you to the Titans sports performance staff with a specific focus on speed. Stay with us. Welcome back to Titans football with Brian Callahan, presented by SeatGeek. Zach Woodfin believes in the need for speed. Woodfin is in his first season as the Titans Director of Sports Performance, and he has a background training athletes in both college and the pros. So he brought a unique mindset to Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. As you learn in this week's edition of the Seatgeek Sound, for Zach Woodfin, the first challenge was getting the team's sports performance staff meshed perfectly. Woodfin found Brian Bell and Haley Roberts and retained them for his first Titans staff. He added Mark Lavatte and Grant Thorne from the Green Bay Packers. John Shaw was brought in to specifically coach speed for the Titans players.
John Shaw's always uplifting. He's always positive.
Hey, take your time and be smooth.
But shortly after that, John Shaw loves speed. You know, he loves teaching athletes how to be faster.
The easy answer to run fast, you got to run fast. But you want to do it in the right way, because running fast takes a lot out, it's taxing.
Woodfin's team balances volume and intensity for each player's training in their overall strength, power, and yes, their speed.
So research says that speed can be lost as soon as 5 days if you don't practice the speed. And so with us knowing that, it makes pretty logical sense. We should work on it at least once every 5 to 7 days. We should do the mechanics that we know help speed. We should run fast every Thursday. If our athletes have not run at 90% or more of their top speed, then we get them to do that. Because if we go 3 weeks without hitting the top speed, just like I said, it's going to start to diminish.
The specific area of speed training within athletic performance is a growing area, and Shaw is one of the leaders in this field.
We start with mechanics. I think mechanics and technique is king in anything. So making sure guys can get in the right positions, first of all, making sure in the weight room we're getting stronger so we can apply force, maximum force. After that, we need to apply the force in the right direction. So those three components come together, and now you have speed. You have an efficient, fast, explosive athlete, and that's what we're trying to create here.
The players connect with John Shaw and with the rest of Zach Woodfin's staff.
Another thing that they will see is I can do all the drills that they do. So not only am I telling them about speed, I'm showing them. So it's kind of like me and my friends, we have a joke, show and tell. So I tell them, but I also show them. And at 41 years old, me being able to do the drills and they see me and Grant out there hitting our 90% on Thursdays, that builds a little trust, and these guys aren't just talking about it, they're actually doing it.
We want you guys to build trust and respect with us, and that happens with how you show up to work, with how you do things with detail. They understand that we know what we're doing. They understand and they start to feel that what we're doing works, and that's where you get the buy-in. It's like, wow, this works.
The buy-in, it's been immediate. Players are seeing personal records, or PRs, in speed even as we hit the last month of the season. The receivers, the defensive backs, and even kicker Nick Folk have improved their speed this season. But one player stands out when it comes to all-out buy-in in the Titans' all-new speed program.
and that's Harold Landry.
Harold Landry's one guy who's done tremendous job with our speed training. He's really bought into it. And the last 4 to 5 weeks, out of the last 5 weeks before the game, Harold's PRing on his 10-yard sprint. So 4 out of the last 5 weeks, and you're talking about he's running faster in week 12 than he ran in week 1. And that's what we want. We want guys fresh, and it gives them confidence when they're going out there on the field. They know they're explosive and fast. They feel like they can play better at the end of the day.
You gotta have that speed. Speed is the most crucial thing, and to be able to have it over the course of the entire season, you gotta work on it every day, I feel like. And I feel like the strength staff here does a great job, man, of building a plan and knowing each guy and how each guy's different and react to certain things differently. And I feel like they've done a great job working with me on not only building speed, but being able to maintain it throughout the entire season.
Think about the hip flexion, because if your hip flex, your knee gonna come with it. There you go.
He's done a great job all season, specifically with me. He knows how I operate and what I feel like, and he's been there with me every step of the way, helping me out.
John Shaw, I think most of all, he's an unbelievable person. And that's what's so cool about our organization is there's so many great people here.
I say 3 things. I want to serve God, serve my family, and serve others. So I come in the building, and that's what I want to do.
We focused that particular piece on John Shaw and the speed. But, Brian, as you lay the foundation here with Zach Woodfin's entire sports performance staff, you could see that all of them have already made an impact.
They're fantastic. They are the best at their job in the field, I think. And Zach does a great job. All those guys, Grant, John, Mark, Haley, B. Bell, those guys are it's a fantastic group. They do a great job together. They all have strengths they play off of. And I think our players have bought in as well. I think they really trust what they're doing there, and it's made an impact on them. And those real. Those numbers are real. Our speed really has improved from week 1 to now, where you're seeing guys hitting max speeds, PRs at this stage in the season, which is how our program is built. We want to peak at the end of the year. Again, when we're in a position to start playing for playoff games here in the near future, we're going to need that exact formula to get there.
When we come back, we're preparing to take a trip to Jacksonville, so we share a story about our 2001 trip to Everbank Field that reminds us appropriately in the holiday season that sometimes even a bitter rivalry can take a back seat. Stay with us. It's time for this week's Epic Western Genuine article. Since September 11th, 2001, the Tunnels to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes by providing mortgage-free homes to Gold Star and fallen first responder families with young children, and by building specifically adapted smart homes for catastrophically injured veterans and first responders. Tunnels to Towers uses their platform to share stories of connection, even involving sports. The Titans' trip to Jacksonville on September 23, 2001 provided one of those stories, as it was both teams' first game following 9/11.
So about 8:30, I get a phone call from my daughter, and she says, "Dad, do you know what's going on?" Now I go from somebody totally unaware to eventually the puzzle's starting to come together. I have a son in that second tower.
Tim Coughlin, at that point, 29 years old, worked for Morgan Stanley, was in Tower 2.
He is located on the 60th floor of the second tower. And I don't know anything about anything because no one in my family can get a hold of my son. I can't get through, I can't get through, I can't get through.
I remember hearing that Tom Coughlin's son was unaccounted for. And that just kind of ripped my heart out.
And then we see the second tower take the hit.
For 45 minutes, Tom and his late wife did not know the fate of Tim.
I get him when he's on the first floor. I finally get him. And I'm saying, Tim, you all right? Yeah, we're moving, Dad. You know, I'm trying to be as calm as I can, but Tim, you get as far away from there as you possibly can. Only by the grace of God, the Holy Spirit took my son by the hand and walked him out of there. But there are so many that that's not the outcome, and our hearts pour out to all of them.
Back at Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville prior
The
to
Jacksonville
the kickoff,
Jaguars are the
sideline
Tennessee
report.
Titans' biggest rivals, and vice versa.
During those 3 hours and 15 minutes, it wasn't pretty.
You know, it was a fist fight with helmets on.
The meetings between Tom Coughlin and Jeff Fisher after any game, regardless of the outcome, were very brief.
Oh, it was a classic stick your hand out but turn your head away.
Yeah, very brief, professional.
Yeah, sorry, enjoy the ride home after that.
There was just no connection in any way, shape, or form.
The Jaguars win the toss, elected.
Our first game back was September 23rd, 2001, in Jacksonville, Florida, against the Jaguars.
It was game day, you know. It was game day.
It was more about, okay, we're here to help. Come embrace this thing that we do on Sundays and get your mind off it.
So the final score is 13-6 Jaguars.
Game was over, and I found Coach.
Jeff Fisher hugged Tom Coughlin.
I don't know if I was ready for it.
In that moment, there were two dads.
It was two fathers, yeah.
And he knew what I had gone through, thinking about what it would have been like for him. Wasn't a lot of verbiage. It was a hug. It was a hug. It was a hug that said, hey, I'm there for you. I'm compassionate about it.
Not that we'd lost perspective. We were competing together, and you know, that all those things are out. You know, they don't count anymore. You know, we know what really counts.
How's Tim doing today?
He's doing well. You know, he's done remarkably well with it. And every 9/11, I call, tell him how much I love him, and tell him that God saved him for a reason. And one of the reasons that I personally, and I know my son, has such unbelievable respect for the firemen, okay? Tim is on his way down in the second tower. They're going up.
And although our foundation was born out of tragedy, we know there is more goodness in this world than evil. And when we come together as Americans, we can be the conduits of this goodness.
I'm so thankful that organizations like this don't let us forget.
If we ever forget, we are, you know, I don't care how many years go by. You can't forget.
And I'm not alone. I'm speaking on behalf of Tunnel to Towers. We got to build more, and they can get bigger, and they can take care of more, because there's just so much need out there.
You're supposed to take each day as a gift. You're supposed to enjoy each day. You're supposed to, and boy, the day that I got my son back was a day that Judy and I, that was a good day.
It's time for Callahan's First Look, presented by Nissan. It would be more accurate to call this Callahan's Second Look, as we're facing the Jaguars for the second time in 3 weeks. Got to begin with the receiver, Brian Thomas, coming off another massive performance against Las Vegas this past weekend.
Yeah, continues to look like one of the premier young receivers in the league. What a hit in the draft they had with him, and he's produced like a first-round pick.
Tank Bigsby continues to fuel Jacksonville's run game. Going to see some power out of number 4 this week.
Yeah, he's been really productive. Hard runner, strong runner, and then you pair him with Etienne, and they got a nice 1-2 punch. The run game has been really, really good the last couple weeks.
Jacksonville's run defense is tightening as the season winds down. A lot of talent in their front 7 who make it tough to run.
Yeah, I think that it starts and ends with their middle linebacker, and then their 2 edge rushers play the run physically, and they play it hard. They do a really nice job defending the run and making it difficult for opposing offenses.
Raiders had a very hard time running the football in that game. That's Callahan's First Look, presented by Nissan. Titans Jaguars for you from Jacksonville this Sunday. Our airtime on all of our Titans radio stations, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern for Titans Countdown. Kickoff set for 12:02 Central. Tennessee at Jacksonville this Sunday on Titans Radio. For head coach Brian Callahan, I'm Mike Keith. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.